Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Responsible AI Forum 2021. This session is on Responsible AI Network Africa with a presentation on agriculture, opportunities and challenges of AI in agriculture. My name is Lodama, the coordinator for the Responsible AI Network Africa. RAIN Africa is here for Africa's need and aspiration to better deploy AI applications in Africa. And I hope this forum will enable the entire RAIN Africa family, members, and the IEAI staff to gauge your concerns and expectations on how we, RAIN Africa, can do things better in the future. The network was founded through a partnership between the Faculty of Agriculture and Computer Science Engineering at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Ghana, and the Institute for Ethics and Artificial Intelligence at the Technical University of Munich in Germany. The aim is to build a network of scholars working on the responsible development and use of AI in Africa, and also to bring together emerging researchers to discuss and build joint projects on ethical and social challenges arising at the interface of technology and human values. Since its kickoff in February 2020, RAIN Africa has held over 5 virtual workshops, and is also present in 11 countries in Africa, and has about 500 members through virtual and in-person workshops. The network has provided a platform to promote cross-regional and interdisciplinary research collaborations. This session is dedicated to AI and agriculture, a theme chosen mainly in light of climate change and future demographic challenges that we have or may witness in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, the food crisis is no less serious than any other crisis. The Food and Agriculture Organization tells us that there are more hungry people today than there was ever been before. This situation cannot be allowed to linger. AI can be part of the answer, albeit not the entire answer, since much will also depend on accompanying credits, nutrition, and agricultural development policy. With that, I will want to introduce the moderator of the session and our close partner on RAIN Africa, Professor Jerry Kponyo. Professor Jerry Kponyo is the head of the Quality Assurance and Planning Unit of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology under the Vice Chancellor's Office, and also a co-founder of the Responsible AI Network Africa, and also a member of the Global AI Ethics Consortium. He has done extensive research in IoT, intelligence system, and AI, and currently is the Emerging Network and Technologies Research Laboratory at the Faculty of Electrical and Computer Engineering, KNUST, which focuses on digital development, technology research. He also leads the KNUST College of Engineering Innovation Center, which drives innovation among students. Jerry, we are very excited to have you in this amazing panel here with us today.
Okay, thank you so much, Lord, for the words of introduction. Regarding the Responsible AI Network Africa, my preliminary comments will be, it is important that as enthusiasts and as practitioners, as far as AI is concerned, we gather around the table so that we all can reflect on ways through which we can work together to have AI-powered solutions as far as responding to the demands of the fourth industrial revolution is concerned. This particular session focuses on one of the key areas, i.e. applying artificial intelligence to agriculture. As Lord has already mentioned, the whole area of agriculture is a critical area as far as responding to food security is concerned. It is anticipated that if we are able to apply artificial intelligence effectively in the area of agriculture, we are able to respond to the demands of this, the Sustainable Development Goals, i.e. responding to hunger, and also be able to provide a lot of jobs for a lot of people, because the entire agricultural sector is considered to be made up of trillions of dollars as far as the market is concerned. In this discussion, we will have experts make presentations on various interventions that we can make within the agricultural space as far as application of AI is concerned. I have two of my colleagues who will be making presentations, after which we will enter into discussions with reference to moving forward as far as AI in agriculture is concerned. First to make the presentation will be my own colleague, Dr. Eric Tutu Chow, who is a senior lecturer in the Department of Computer Engineering, Faculty of Electrical and Computer Engineering in the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. At this juncture, I will want to hand over to Eric to make his presentation. After Eric's presentation, Mr. Christian Dumata will also make a presentation with reference to applications of AI in agriculture, and then we will enter into the discussion. Eric, you are most welcome. You can take over.
Okay, thank you, Jerry, for the lovely introduction. I must say this is a very nice opportunity for us to build our network, to collaborate, and most importantly, meet new people to work together towards the achievement of the fourth industrial revolution, and then whatever objectives it comes along with it. So I'm very happy. Basically, this presentation is, or more or less, summarizes thoughts that I have in my head. And this is also part of initiatives, as Professor Kponyo will know. We have the Responsible AI Network Africa. In line of this, within the faculty, like Professor Kponyo knows, we've made strides to set up a new lab. So I thought, what better else to do, of which maybe, and as part of the introduction, Professor Kponyo did not say, is the scientific director of this lab, a responsible AI lab funded by GIZ and then IDRC. So I think it was being moderate. So basically, these are activities that we want to do, or perspectives that we want to see, or things that we are thinking about, right? That we think that if we should go through some of these interventions, it would inure to the benefit of Africa and also the sub-region. So basically, I'll just go through this, some background, the challenges that most of us know in agriculture, the opportunities that exist, sample initiatives that Professor Kponyo, myself, Christian have been thinking about, then also see how those of us who have met here can work on together, because what we've realized is that this should be a collaborative effort. So, I mean, some of the initiatives that we can work on together to achieve some of these objectives, then the impact that we can achieve. Okay, so basically, I'll say in Africa, AI can contribute significantly to addressing some of the challenges that we face in health, agriculture, environment, and then also towards digital economic transformation, right? The World Bank has even initiated or stressed this need by saying that increasing support for agricultural innovation and farmer adoption of technology will lead or help Africa meet food demand, cope with climate change, and end poverty. As Professor Kponyo rightly said, adopting technology in this area of agriculture will help us meet most of the objectives of the Sustainable Development Goals. And in Africa, some few challenges exist, which we know, right? Most of us know that, or those of us in Africa know that in Africa, most of the activities of farmers are seasonal. But like we know, hunger is not seasonal. So what it means is that if you're able to, if you'll be able to solve the challenges of ensuring food security in Africa, there should more or less be all year round farming, right? Also in Africa, as we know, most subsistence farmers use cutlasses, hoes, and small farm implements, and they use manual labor in doing the jobs. But as it happens in the developed economies, farmers do not, or most likely do not use this manual labor in doing the jobs. They use mechanization and automatic implements to do that. But what the farmer usually, or most importantly, thinks about is how to use technology to solve some of the challenges. So what what we should be looking at in solving challenges, how technology could help farmers to focus on thinking, right? Also, if you look at the processing as it exists here, we also have to look at ways we could adopt technology to make sure that food production and its processes itself are healthy for farmers, consumers, and then the environment. So why do we have these challenges, right? Enough in Ghana, to be specific, we have a lot of vast arable lands, but everywhere you plant a seed, it will grow. But what happens is that we end up importing, for instance, tomatoes from Niger and Burkina Faso, and we also end up importing a lot of rice. Most of the major import aspects of Ghana's, the things that commodities that we import from abroad is rice, sugar, and then vegetables. But we have arable land. So why is it that despite the opportunities of the God-given resources that we are not able to meet this? Upon careful, most of the activities that we've been doing in the lab have seen some challenges, right? Shortage of human capacity and infrastructure when it comes to leveraging technology in this agricultural field, and then also lack of Africa origin data sets. If you, for instance, you want to go into farming today, plant tomatoes, where online can you get data sets from? The data sets you get might be data set that has been generated from a lab either in Europe, US, or in Asia, right? And also, so this is a challenge for us. Then also including of what marginalized data group, marginalized group, for instance, women in agriculture. Women in Ghana form about 60% of the farming population, but because their output is very small, it is not reflective in the way that agricultural outputs should be, right? Access to land is an issue, conflict is an issue, but all these challenges are challenges that we could use data and then technology to solve. So there are a lot of opportunities exist which we can leverage technology. And it's true that agriculture is a complex industry which has several variables, but with smart precision agriculture and biofarming, we can leverage AI and disruptive technologies to transform most of the processes. For instance, we can use AI to detect, diagnose, and treat diseases, as has been done by several implementations. For instance, Carol Agro AI Foundation, they have a drone in agriculture project that they have used drones, taking area shots of plants, mapped diseases, created a database for them, and then available online for people to subscribe to. We can also use AI for smart precision agriculture. Within the faculty itself, we've done smart irrigation projects, and there are a lot of projects all around. Also, we can create avenues to make communications line easier. Most of the things that has to do with manual labor has to do with what? Farm implements. Sometimes a farmer could have a tractor line idle and does not have the communication lines to make it available to others. So IBM, for instance, developed Hello Tractor, where a farmer who is not using his tractor could lease it out by making it available online. But this is an AI blockchain implementation. What runs common among all these interventions are this. There are a lot of interventions that have been done, but what runs similar to all this thing is this. Most of these interventions seem to be run in silos, right? So how can we make concerted efforts, put our efforts together to come up with solutions which would inure to the benefit of the greater majority? So as part of the activities of the lab, we've been looking at doing some of these things. In Ghana, one of the things that is catching on is greenhouse. So on campus, you have a youth in greenhouse enterprise project. I think one time I was there and then a young man reached out to me, a second-year computer science student reached out to me and said, well, I want to go into farming. He says he wants to stop education and want to go into greenhouse farming. So I asked him, okay, you want to go into greenhouse farming? Do you have a land? They said, no. He said that there are lands available that can be leased. Do you know what you want to plant? No. Do you have any information on data sets available? He says no. So what we seem to be a problem is that there is a lot of data sets available when people want to go into greenhouse farming. Greenhouse farming is becoming very, very important because of access to land, right? And in Ghana, there are a lot of We compete with land, farmers compete with land with illegal miners, compete with land for a whole lot of activities. So greenhouse is catching on. There are about 10,000 greenhouses available. But most of these users who have seen this as a viable opportunity need information as to what to do, how soil affects, characteristics of soil affect growth within the greenhouse. All these things have to be measured, data has to be made available. So what we want to do is to use this initiative, data sets for accelerating the adoption of controlled environment agriculture in West Africa, generate these data sets and then make them openly available. So that, for instance, when a young man wants to go into farming, he knows that this type of soil can grow tomatoes, onions, and so forth and so forth. Also, what we want to make available is what we call a greenhouse information systems, where we could pull information through crowdsourcing. Anyone who has a greenhouse and wants to lease it out can make it available, so that young people who want to go into, who are enthusiastic about greenhouse farming, can go in there and have information to transact business more or less. Also, this second initiative, basically, which is in the animal competition between animal rearing, cattle rearing, nomadic cattle rearing, and farmers. In Ghana, cattle compete with farmers. So there's someone's watermelon farm, and then a cattle, someone's nomadic cattle has gone in there to destroy the cattle, the watermelon in there. And this is a major source of conflict. So I have some images here. This nomadic cattle farmers during dry season also set off fires to the farm, so that when the rains come, they will get green pasture for their lands. This is a major source of concern, security for the farmers. The next one is viewer discretion advice. I mean, these are the conflict that has come. This happened in 2018, where there was a fight between farmers in Asante Achimagogo, and then leading to the poisoning of cattle. About a lot of cattle died, and this led to a wide conflict between these major stakeholders, right? How can we use data to solve some of these things? So within our lab, the Responsible AI Lab, these are some of the interventions that we want to come up with: a smart monitoring for efficient, peaceful cattle herding in sub-Saharan Africa. I'll not go into it too much, so that during the deliberations, we can discuss it further. So basically, we want to put some sensors, tracking device, provide ecological footprint as the cattle move around, and then be able to track. What we cannot monitor, we cannot provide remedial solutions to. So we want to be able to monitor and then make decisions. So through our Responsible AI Lab, this is a solution that we want to do collaboratively with major stakeholders in Ghana. Then the last one is also a smart agriculture innovation, where we want to leverage agrovoltaic for solving some of the major issues when it comes to rice cultivation in Ghana. Like I said, rice is a major import commodity in Ghana. So we want to leverage AI and then use IoT, agro PV, energy, water, food nexus, see how we can leverage AI to solve some of these things, right? All in all, opportunities exist. Through AI, we can generate and develop infrastructure, can also generate data sets. We can provide training and capacity building to farmers, can also provide extension activities and automation of agricultural sectors, and then provide remedial solutions when it comes to climate change. I'll pause here, and then probably we can have a thorough discussion. Thank you, Jerry.
Okay, thank you so much, Eric. That has been a very comprehensive presentation. I am sure that colleagues have a lot of questions to ask when we enter into the discussion session. I will ask that we all hold our questions. We have Christian with us. He will also make a presentation. Then after the two presentations, we enter into discussion. So kindly note your questions as the presentations are ongoing. Our second presenter is Mr. Christian Adumata. Christian is a postgraduate student of the Technical University of Munich Not long ago, he was with us here at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology as a result of the collaboration that exists between TUM and KNUST. He had an opportunity to go and pursue his postgraduate with our partner institution, TUM. And so currently he is there doing postgraduate studies. Christian has done some work as far as AI in agriculture is concerned. And this is an opportunity to share his experiences, after which we will enter into the discussion. Christian, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Professor Kponyo. And I would also like to add that I also joined RAIN Africa as a member while I was doing my bachelor studies at KNUST, and I would like to say it's been very helpful over the past few months. We've discussed a range of issues from agriculture, curriculum in African schools, as far as AI is concerned, governance, policy, a wide range of issues. And I believe the impact among especially upcoming researchers and students has been very good. And it's an initiative that we should probably propagate into other African universities as well. So in this presentation, I'll further be highlighting some of the challenges that I've seen with the development of AI in Africa, especially in agriculture. Because this is a meeting of researchers in the area, my hope is that by highlighting these specific challenges and providing possible approaches to the development of their solutions, we will all target some shift some efforts to the solution of these problems. And to start with, it's going to be very short. First is our problems with internet access. So Statista reports about 50% internet coverage in Ghana. This is from 2020. It's a bit higher now with the rollout of 3G networks almost all across the country. But still, with regards to internet reliability, it's very poor in not only in Ghana, but in many parts of Africa, according to reports. And at the moment, a lot of AI-based solutions require some sort of interaction with cloud-based data, partly because the data sets are usually too large for even the models themselves to be stored on maybe phones. And another is that computing power. We also would like the phones to fetch results from the cloud. This has been the architecture of most AI-based solutions out there. There's an app for developed by, I think, Mino Health AI in Ghana, where they started providing an AI-based disease detection. So you take a picture of a plant and then it tells you the disease the plant could be suffering from and what you could do to alleviate that. And for that particular solution, all of the models and everything was stored on the phone. The app size was a bit big, around 120 megabytes, but I mean, it still works. So these are some of the approaches that we could take to solve these problems, because I mean, the internet coverage is just too bad and it's not reliable. In some places too, they only have 2G connections, and it makes it unreliable for the rollout of IoT devices, which have become an integral part of AI-based farming activities in places like Europe and Asia. So the question has been how to implement AI-based solutions for agriculture, regardless of the specific application, where the models or the products can work without a reliable internet connection. So that should always be the approach. The coverage or the access to internet is going to increase, but from statistics and forecasts, that may take a while. So immediately we need solutions that will work without reliable internet connections. Another is data sets. Dr. Chow spoke extensively about it. I'm not going to touch on it, but what he proposed is, in my opinion, the actual answer, that we have openly available or crowdsourced data sets, because it's in places like Europe where the deployment of IT sensors is very easy. In Africa, it's a bit difficult, mostly due to small capital. People simply cannot afford. The people who do agriculture the most fall in an income bracket that makes them unable to afford these kinds of investments, and also because of the literacy rates. So it makes it hard for them to adopt technology like IoT. So we need to start focusing on how we can start generating data sets outside of relying on things like IoT sensors and maybe crowdsourced. But the question will be how you can crowdsource this data, because as I said, a lot of those who are engaged in farming do not have very good literacy, both tech literacy and even general literacy. So how do you bring them on board this crowdsourcing? In my final year project, I was doing some research on an IoT plus AI solution, and it was funny that for our data source, we had to depend on agricultural extension officers who had to go to the farms. I mean, on the surface, it sounds like a very slow solution, but for some rural communities, it was the only possible solution. So we have to find a way to get around this. And then also interfacing. I've already spoken about the literacy rate is about 79% according to the World Bank. But if we focus on people who are engaged in agriculture, this is way lower. And the question is about how easily can they use AI-based solutions. In one project I did, we were depending on USSD, which has been very commonly used among farmers in rural areas where they type a code on their mobile phones. They don't need internet for that. And then they've been using it for mobile money. So it's something they've become familiar with. But again, that is also a bit slow, depending on the kind of data you want to be pulling. You can't be using that always. I thought another example, another possible approach could be that a short-term solution is that if we could develop voice-capable automated call centers. Of course, if we can afford manual call centers, then why not? Where people can interface with whatever system has been developed. But if we could also have call centers that are, similar to press 1 for this, press 2 for this, you can communicate with a chatbot over phone. But again, another problem is that local language, we don't have natural language processing kits for local languages. I know there's been some development among a young community in Africa, but it's way behind something that we can actually roll out. So maybe it's something we could look at, how to interface the rural person to whatever AI solution we want to develop. Again, I think it also boils down to something that was discussed in the second session, which is about explainability. So the literacy rate is low. So how do you help them also to understand the particular solution you've developed to make it easy to use, not just about the interface, but also understanding, in case something goes wrong or in case there's an upgrade or something of the sort, how do they, go about it if they don't understand the system? So it has to be extremely simple. There was a little bit of criticism about building black box-like solutions where there's just input and there's output, because now if they don't understand the system, then the system is not very transparent. But in my opinion, at the moment right now, all the most critical need is a simple solution where they know that, okay, this input is required, this is the kind of outputs I'm getting, regardless of the application we are talking about. And then lastly is data protection laws. Very few African countries have concrete sectorized laws for data protection. Most of them are relying on basic privacy rights in the Constitution and some on general telecom sector regulations. Giants like South Africa only effected their general data protection regulations in July this year. I mean, it's a bit alarming considering that, especially in South Africa, a lot of such solutions have been implemented. So data protection now. This has raised concerns for legal experts like IEPP, the International Association of Privacy Professionals. So I think we could also have a conversation around not just copying regulations that have already been developed in other areas, but having a discussion how we can, have protection laws that are relevant to the continent. And the long-term implication of us not having this soon is that I think it could deter established and experienced companies in Europe, Asia, etc., from moving into Africa, because when there's uncertainty about when laws may change, we are now introducing laws, and every country has their own different data protection laws, unlike the EU, where there's a common GDPR for the entire bloc, or the United States, which is a big country. Then countries will be reluctant to move into the continent because an example is Uber. When Uber was rolling out in places, they had to, restructure their company operations because each country had different regulations with regards to the ride-hailing service. Similar could happen for Africa too if we don't have the entire bloc, or at least large chunks, agreeing on common data protection laws. And it means that for every country there has to be a restructuring of operations, and that will make it unattractive to build AI solutions there, or machine learning, or data-heavy products there. So these are a short summary of the problems I've identified, and I hope we can discuss them further. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Christian. That has been an insightful presentation. I will still expect that beyond this, you could put the points down, bullet them in a few slides so that we can share with our colleagues who are interested in AI in agriculture. I think one thing that runs through listening to you and listening to Dr. Chow has to do with the caliber of people who are involved in agriculture within that particular ecosystem. You realize that a greater percent of people who actually do practical agriculture are illiterate. I am still thinking through how do we develop solutions that are plug and play, such that irrespective of the person's educational background, he still is able to use AI-powered solutions in agriculture. I have had instances where various calls like the Lacuna Fund and stuff have come up with developing data sets within the agricultural ecosystem. But what is the use of developing data sets if we cannot develop solutions which can be implemented by the real actors as far as the agricultural ecosystem is concerned? I'm going to throw it back to you and throw it back to Eric. We really need to find a way of making sure that the solutions that we are developing are being used by the real actors on the ground. How do we go about this? Let's start with Eric so that
okay, thank you, Prof. So a quick one, I'll use this to explain. This ties in with something Christian said, explainability, right? So when it comes to this project, our initiative is based on the fact that, you see, these rice farms are mainly farmed by women who have little or no education. So when it comes to issues of cultivation drudgery, they don't understand what that is, how much water is needed, how much, is it soggy, is it dry, when do you switch on the pump, when do you switch off the pump? So all these things have to be monitored with sensors. But like Christian said, if these solutions are done and we cannot explain for them to understand it, then we have a problem. Also, based on the fact that we was talking about something about natural language processing, can we do it in a language or in a way that they can relate to, right? So can we use videos? So can it be voice prompts? Can it be in their local languages? Could we have helplines, right? So this, in order to create impact, the solutions must be developed with them, and we have to carry them along, explain it to them, provide further extension services, because we cannot sit in our labs and propose solutions for them. If we go to them, talk to them, design it so that it fits their need, then we could have impact. So that, in summary, falls on something that Christian said. So I would just like to retrieve that, and then I'll just leave it here.
Christian, you want to add up to that?
Yeah, I think the key is also having the solutions relevant to them, and it's all about the interaction with them. For instance, in my project, the idea to use USSD and also a call center actually came from the very farmers I spoke to. They felt that, I mean, I can develop the app for those who can use the app, but they would rather that they have an interface where they either call somebody or use USSD. So just go to them, interact with them, build prototypes, see how well they will interact with it, and then update. And then, you know, by going through a number of iterations of this process, we eventually have highly optimized solutions that work for them. And with regards to building data sets now, I think they're also focusing on data sets now, although we do not have relevant solutions yet. It's still important because that is for the long term. So in the future, we hope that the literacy rate is going to go up and that they are going to become more familiar with, or it's going to be easier to explain some of these solutions, because the explainability also tallies with the ability to understand. So that is for the long term. So we develop data sets now, but alongside we also interact with them to build relevant solutions for them.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you, Christian. There is a related question, and I will throw that to you. And let me say, for our colleagues who are with us in this session, that if you have any question, you can type it in the chat session, and then I can run it by our experts. Let me, there is, in addition to the whole issue about explainability, as far as the AI solutions are concerned, Caitlin is asking whether there is also a problem with trust. How ready are the farmers to adopt to AI-powered solutions? I mean, they are familiar with using their hoes and cutlasses to work in their maize farms and the rest. Now you come in with technology. How ready are they to adopt to technology? The whole issue of trust. Can you say something about that?
Okay, so briefly, like Jerry, you rightly put it, human beings is difficult for us to change. And like if you go to the villages proper where farming happens, they are usually what we call born before computers, right? So you tell them there is this sensor that can do this, there is this technology, they are not used to that, right? So I think that the whole thing is not just AI per se, but technology in general, right? That is what I think the problem is. Basically, it's not just tied to AI, but the advanced technology in general. But of course, we need to do more sensitization as and when they see the benefits, as and when they get information, for instance, in languages that they can relate to, then we build trust. Also, we can solve these things with open designs. Like Christian said, and as Jerry reiterated, if we develop the solutions with them, if we carry them along the way, they relate to, it's not like a black box and then we just showed it to them. So I'll end it here. Probably somebody can take it.
Yeah. Christian, issues about trust. And in addition to letting us know whether it's a problem, also let us know, how do you think we can go around that?
Yeah. Okay. So there are two branches that I can think of right now. One is that the fear of not fear, but well, fear is the word I can think of right now, of data collection, that people are reluctant to, you know, expose themselves to certain data collection, which is very common in advanced economies like the United States and Europe, where people are very reluctant to, you know, give out their data, even if it's not going to lead to any breach. But this luckily is not very common in Africa. I mean, this kind of fear, I mean, people are willing to give into a solution that will work. The real problem with trust in Africa is about relevance, whether they can trust that this solution will work for them. And an example is for the mental health AI app that detects diseases. It also recommends some sort of maybe insecticide or, you know, some solution to use it. First, will the farmer trust that, okay, this app, I think, in my opinion, this leaf is fine, but the app is claiming it has this disease. Do I trust that it actually has this disease, and should I go to the market to buy this? Yeah, so to solve that, in Ghana, the National Commission on Civic Education has actually been using a method that I saw in one of their reports, which works, and is that people in Ghana actually like to see demonstrations. So somewhere around 2007, 2008, when there was a problem with AIDS, and the government wanted to introduce the use of condoms, and even to control malaria and tuberculosis, you know, government was introducing solutions, and they wanted to explain this to people in rural areas. They would send teams to actually go to these rural people and make demonstrations for them to see it work right in front of them. So they would gather community leaders and, you know, explain first to the community leaders. The community leaders are convinced that this one works, and then they, you know, explain it also to the people in their village. So I think this hierarchy of demonstrate to a group of people, let them trust, let them see the results there, and then it's naturally propagates. I mean, we believe the government that this method actually works. So we can use the same thing for AI. If it's about the Mino Health app, I have used it a lot. You just show it, get a plant that doesn't look so sick, that doesn't look, you know, sick, and then, you know, let the app tell you it's sick, and then you actually wait for a while, and then the plant indeed does die. The person trusts the app, and then that's it. It will naturally propagate like wildfire, and I think that's how we can build trust among the people there.
Okay, thank you, Eric, thank you, Christian. Still going back to the audience, Leo is saying that user instructions could be given using images and drawings. That doesn't require, I mean, people actually being able to understand the language. If there is an image, and if there is a drawing, or even there is a video, we actually could even use cartoons to continue to conscientize farmers about and there is also even the recommendation that we could use chat boxes to help farmers really understand that the AI-powered solutions actually do work. I have a question from Lord. Lord is saying to be able to collaborate with the farmers, their incentives should be aligned with the developer. What kind of potential incentive do you think could encourage farmers to use the AI-powered solutions? Eric, you want to give it a go?
Yeah, usually the incentives, we think of incentives as good incentives, but it could also be a very bad experience that could incentivize the person. So in the case of mental health, this one, when you see your plants die, I don't have to come back and tell you that the app works, right? So that, in my view, could be very, of course, usually there are monetary considerations, but those might not really work. But when they see it and they relate and they feel it, I think that would work. Sure.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Christian, any incentive that you can think of?
Yeah, luckily, most farmers don't know that in Africa, don't know that their outputs per area of land is woefully low. I mean, compared to in countries, I mean, in developed areas. I don't know the exact numbers, but the productivity is so low that if, again, you can demonstrate that the amount of cocoa that he's harvesting on this same area, this same farm, could actually triple on this particular same land. I mean, it's going to be good enough incentive for them. I mean, as far as profits are going to rise with the same amount of inputs, or probably even less in the case of good technology, then it's good enough incentive. In my research, at the end, it was found out that just by linking stakeholders in the agricultural value chain, they could, I mean, farmers could have a 235% increase in profits. I mean, if you can demonstrate to them that this is actually possible, we are talking about more money. It's enough incentive for the farmers to be willing to collaborate. Although because we are so far behind. This collaboration can take a while, but it's all about convincing them that in the end, this is the kind of profits they could earn, and I believe they will be willing to collaborate from data collection all the way to testing, all the way to evaluation and rollout. Yeah.
Okay, okay. We still have about 10 minutes. I'm going to run by you a question that Deborah just dropped by. And then when you have answered that, this is a responsible AI network session. So I'm going to be asking you the ethical considerations as far as AI in agriculture is concerned. But before I do that, this is what Deborah has just dropped. So he says another important issue that the AI machine learning community in itself is currently dealing with is handling fairness and bias in AI systems. What are the strategies you suggest should be put in place to ensure that bias and unfairness can be mitigated as much as possible in AI in agriculture? What do we do? Eric.
Yes, Papa J. This is a thorny issue. I think in one of our previous workshops, we spoke extensively about this, the gray areas. Still go back to what I usually think could work. Engaging stakeholders, being open with them, right? In my view, I think works. So basically, this is what I can say about it briefly for now.
Okay. So Eric is looking at ensuring that the stakeholders are involved at every stage as far as the implementation of the solution is concerned, and ensuring that the solutions that we prefer are actually beneficial to the farmers themselves. Christian, what do you say?
Yeah, so yeah, this is a big problem. I think one is that I myself, I found myself in almost committing this error, because it's so hard finding relevant data in Africa. You know, we're developing a system for to predict data bundles for students, and you realize that you can't get data from the operators. I mean, the operators themselves, they will have to generate this over some time for you because they've not been logging any such things. And you now have to maybe go down to the level of the people and then maybe conduct surveys, but it will be difficult to have a large enough data set. So I think it's all about having actual Africans, people who are from these kinds of backgrounds on the teams that develop these kind of AI solutions. It's just as simple as that. Google actually took this approach for the development of their Pixel camera. It turned out that the photo formats for saving pictures, the encoding and the compression of the formats that we know, like JPG, PNG, where the development was actually based on the lighter skinned people, you know. So it was, for photographers, it was actually hard taking good pictures with regards to lighting, exposure, contrasts of darker skinned people. I mean, the formats just don't have enough tone definitions for darker skinned people. And all that Google did was to hire more Black people, was to bring on board, Black is a wrong word, that photographers and machine learning engineers of people who were in this underrepresented group, or let me just use the word Black. And I mean, in the end, they've released this feature called True Tone, which is still in development, but has already received a lot of good acclaim from photographers all around the world, because it's taking very good pictures of both white and Black people. So I think involving people of these underrepresented groups in the development of AI will eventually lead to better representation of these same groups. Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. Let's go to the last question. I am asking, what are the ethical considerations as far as applying artificial intelligence in agriculture is concerned? What should we pay attention to as far as ethics is concerned? So that should be our last, and then I'll hand over back to Caitlin so that she can conclude for us. We start with Eric, please.
Ethics. So we have to be responsible in our solutions, right? In every solution that we proffer, there should be some sort of accountability to it, right? Also, we also have to more or less stick to lay down procedures that have been, for instance, guidance, policies, data protection policies, and ethics that have been proffered by institutions. So, to me, when it comes to ethics, I think that following laid down processes, data protection laws and regulations could help us, and national laws could help us solve some of these issues. So briefly from.
Okay, let's listen to Christian.
Yeah, I think it's something we could consider long term with regards to the kind of laws that we have, frameworks. Europe is doing very well with regards to the development of frameworks. Professor Lütge spoke about it in the opening address. And I mean, I think that is what is going to guide it, because if you leave tech companies, or if you leave developers to be responsible on their own, sometimes being responsible is too expensive, it turns out. That you may want to take a shortcut and, you know, maybe do something unethical or be a bit irresponsible in the quest to develop a good solution. So we just have to develop the right frameworks, legal frameworks, I mean, and, you know, enforce them. And they should be well detailed, you know, they should be revised very frequently. Unfortunately, in my opinion, I think it takes too long for legal reforms to happen in Africa. But if it comes to ensuring the ethics of AI, which is in almost everyone, then the reforms of laws should happen way quicker so that we can protect people, so that we can ensure the responsible and ethical use of it.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you, Christian. As you have already said, we are looking at AI for good. We are looking at AI in agriculture. And as has already been said, it is important that we have the intended users in mind whenever we are developing a solution within the agricultural ecosystem, mindful of the fact that the people who are going to be using the solution are vulnerable and marginalized. It is important that in the end, the solutions that we prefer will be of benefit to them. We have said this over and over again, that it is not enough to go to collect data only for the people from whom the data was collected to be left when the solutions are finally available. It is important that they become the first beneficiaries as far as AI-powered solutions are concerned. It's been an exciting time, and let the conversation continue within the network. The Responsible AI Network Africa has a responsibility to ensure that we have several interventions as far as pushing the fourth industrial revolution is concerned. Let us continue to collaborate. Let us continue to work together. I am certain that with this kind of energy, we really can make a difference. I hand over back to Caitlin. Caitlin, over to you, please.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you for this wonderful conversation to Christian and Eric and Loud. And, Loud and I have been working on this Responsible AI Network with you guys for over a year now. And we're just, every day I'm excited about it. And I think we're doing such great work together, and I hope we can keep doing that. And we'll see some of you in other sessions throughout the next couple of days. So I'm excited about that. And just another round of applause, and please everyone check out the Responsible AI Network. You can either find it on the IEAI website or through our social media on Twitter and LinkedIn. So I look forward to keeping it going. Thank you all for being here.